Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. To follow us on Instagram, go to No Name Music Cast Podcast. To send us an email, it's nonamemusiccast@gmail.com. And to visit our website, go to nonamemusiccast.com. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And here we are recording another episode for you. We're in the episode stockpiling season. We tried to get two in this week, but I had a scheduled rest day yesterday where I just loafed around the house. I really needed that.
To be fair, there have been times where we were supposed to record. I've told Tim, I'm not mentally in the headspace. It won't make for a great episode. And we both go, hey, we'll do it tomorrow.
There we are. We'll get a couple in next week. It'll be fine. But, as ever, your service is interrupted in the world of the No Name Music Cast.
Well, not interrupted, Tim.
Interrupted.
Interrupted. Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, I think Tim's going to take us up with his little bits of music news and whatever's going on in his life.
Okay, so I've got two things for you. Firstly, this week, I went to a concert. I went to a concert at the Salem Civic Center. Salem Civic Center is a somewhat crumbling concert venue, which is not far from here. And it's not as nice as the Roanoke Civic Center, but the Roanoke Civic Center is a venue that remains empty almost all of the time. The Salem Civic Center, a venue I've actually played a gig at, whoever's booking that is doing a great job booking bands in there. They have metal bands, country bands. They have all kinds of stuff going on all the time. They're really doing some really good work. And I went to see Black Label Society. Now, Black Label Society is a musical project of Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde being Ozzy Osbourne's longtime guitarist. In support was Zakk Wylde's very own Black Sabbath tribute band called Zakk Sabbath. And they also had an opening band called there wasn't Dark Harvest, it was Dark Church, or what were they called, Joy?
You should give it a go, because I know what you're talking about, but I can't give you the official name.
All right, no, Dark Chapel. There you go.
You've said that before, yeah.
Yeah. So Dark Chapel opened, and they were actually a pretty good band, in the kind of metal genre. The most interesting thing that they did is that they played a version of Ain't No Sunshine in a metal style, which was very interesting. And I was like, oh, this is sort of cool. So they played a short set, about 30 minutes. And then Zakk Sabbath came on with Zakk Wylde, and they played Black Sabbath covers. And it was pretty much you expect. They closed with War Pigs. And during War Pigs, Zakk Wylde left the stage, came down onto the floor in the mosh pit, and then played a huge long solo in the mosh pit. Now, we had the security people kind of sort of clearing.
I'd say, were there people punching him in the face? Probably not.
No, as we've said before, metal people are cool people trying to look scary, whereas hippies are scary people trying to look cool. But, that's debate for another time.
I don't know, though. Mosh pits have been scary to me before, so I stay out of them.
They're scary if you want to be part of the moshing, but if you don't want to be part of the moshing, people are actually typically
generally pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he sort of cleared the area, the security cleared the area, and he was standing out there. He was jamming away and having a great time. Absolutely fantastic. Stellar version of War Pigs. And then there was the main event, which was Black Label Society. Now, I will tell you, I'm not super familiar with the work of Black Label Society. I know some of their music, but at the same time, it was very good. The mix where I was sitting, I was right at the front on the side area, and maybe where those line arrays were pointing wasn't completely correct. It sounded a bit muddy and indistinct in a few places where I was, though the mix got better as the evening went on. The interesting thing about Zakk Wylde's set is he played a cover of No More Tears, the Ozzy Osbourne song that he played guitar on.
I mean, why would he right now? It's the perfect time to lay tribute to one of the greatest metal artists of the time. I'm pretty familiar with Black. I will say that I will say I love Ozzy and I love kind of all of his things and everything he did. I'm not too familiar with all of these pieces because I'm not huge on metal. Shocker, everybody. But with that being said, I would love to see it. I actually have a coworker, weirdly enough, who's really big. She's not in my department, but she works down the road, and we literally talked to her. She was at one of Tim's old band's events recently. She was a huge Aussie fan, and she was going on literally about this exact Black Society kind of thing, and she was very into it. And she was just giving me all these lists, and I'm like, man, I think I live under a rock because I didn't even know all this was happening.
Yeah, I
But
follow Zach Wild on Instagram, and I noticed that he was playing locally, and I thought, well, that'd be sort of cool, different thing to do. And
we
it
don't get
was
that
it was
many
a
local bands.
yeah, and it was. I think the tickets were terribly expensive when we booked it. And I like the fact that the previous gig I'd went to was Culture Club, and this gig I'm going to was Black Label Society. So I very much
Very on brand.
enjoyed the evening. There are a couple of disappointments. One, whoever is staffing the concession stand really didn't understand the urgency of the fact there was a massive queue and it was about to start, because the queue was like absolutely unbelievable. And they have a policy
Oh,
where they don't give you a bottle of water and they don't give you a can of beer. They tip it into a paper cup with a lid. Now that's probably venue policy, and that is what it is, because it's probably a lesser projectile if I had to guess. But like there were
if you're moshing, you don't throw it at somebody. Yeah, I guess that's
yeah, or
true.
something like that. And plus, trampling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the two people behind the counter, there was no urgency in that. Now, in my head, as I'm standing there watching this incredibly tedious process, I was thinking that I can think of five things to do with those two people to make this queue move quicker. And they were doing none of those things.
Their paychecks were not enough, Tim, to give them the urgency that you wanted. If I had to guess.
Yeah. And then
And
and then the
that's
other
just the
thing was
truth.
the merch table. Now, Zach Wild doesn't need my money, and I wasn't really interested in any of his merch. But the support band, I wanted to buy their CD because they said, there's Dark Chapel CDs, signed Dark Chapel CDs on the merch table if you're interested. And then they were not they may be signed, but they're not a band that most people have heard of. And I thought, well,
No,
I'm going
not
to buy their
particularly.
CD, support that band, keep them on the road, spend my $20, etc., etc. And
Yeah.
when we came in, the line to the merch table was out the door. And then as we were coming out, I said to Hannah, I'm just going to see what the line's like for the merch table. And on the way out, the line was longer. And I was like, I'm going to see if I can order their CD off Bandcamp or something.
That and see, I'm at that point now where I'm like, I always like look at what there's been times where I've literally been in a physical store and I look at the amount of people in line and go, the thing I'm holding in my hand is not worth it, and walks
Yeah.
out.
I mean, as I
Like
said,
truly.
I really want to support that band, but I'm not getting involved in that. But as I said, I found them on Bandcamp. They do have CDs on Bandcamp, and it does say all the profits go to the band. So I'm thinking of
There you
ordering
go.
their CD and just to support them. I saw them, I liked them, I thought that was a cool cover. Want to support them, etc., etc.
Fair enough. All right. What's your next little bit of music news and or events in your life?
Okay, the next piece of music news is NPR's Tiny Desk. Now, we've spoken of Tiny Desk before, and as you know, a number of big name heavy hitters have come through the Tiny Desk. And the
We
one that
love a
I've
tiny
spoken
desk.
about in particular recently was the one from Chic, which is probably the best Tiny Desk I think they've ever had. But this week, completely surprising, they had the Foo Fighters at the Tiny Desk. Have you
I
seen this?
s- yeah, and I kind of didn't put it in mine because I thought it might be in yours. I was looking at options and I was like, oh, I saw the Foo Fighters and I was like, I'll let Tim talk about it because I was like literally looking at things and this came up and I was like, oh, there's my favorite Dave Grohl right there. And the thing about it is the funny thing about like what I love about the Tiny Desk situation is that like it's kind of like for me, it's the Kennedy Center Honors. Like there's just something so I don't know if it's nostalgic or homey about it, but it always gives me the right vibes. When I watch Tiny Desk or when I watch Kennedy Center Honors, I love it. I just truly enjoy it. And there's been very few that I've been like, that's terrible. It never happens.
Yeah, I think with the Tiny Desk, certainly they have a lot of non-mainstream artists, and very occasionally you get a very mainstream artist. For example, like Taylor Swift stopped by the Tiny Desk at the height
Of
of her
course.
fame and power, and it was a surprise that Taylor Swift would do the Tiny Desk, and she did a solo thing with acoustic guitar, and you get a Chic that's gone through, you get Living Color came through, but then you get 52 artists you've never ever heard of. But I think what you're finding with
Yes.
NPR's Tiny Desk, it's now got the cultural cachet that it didn't have before, where a lot of
Yep.
people are aware of the Tiny Desk and those clips are going viral on YouTube. And the other thing is there's some politics around NPR that we don't need to go into. And a lot of artists feel that they want to support NPR. So that's why you're getting a Foo Fighters coming by the Tiny Desk.
I'm team support NPR, but we don't have to go into more of that. Just strictly because me and Tim are NPR supporters. We have been since the beginning, and I think Tim's been on NPR. Tim literally wears a robe that says NPR since, I don't know, 10 plus years ago.
I
When did
love
you get that
NPR.
robe?
Well, actually, I had to retire it because it got a little. I've got a different one now that says night. If I'm being honest with you,
Of
but
course he does. That's
but
how
yes,
long
but
we've
I
been
mean,
recording this podcast.
I've got several bits of NPR merchandise in my house. I've got a new NPR mug for Christmas. I like to support them. I like their content. I don't listen to the public radio part of it where you actually tune into the radio in your car or whatever because there's ads in it, and it's what they broadcast is predominantly politics based, and I don't really want to listen to that. But I listen to all the podcasts, and then I pick and choose the stuff I want to listen to. And they have some fantastic output. They really do. And even on Spotify, they have NPR audio books that are taken from different broadcasts and
Yep.
different specials that have done. And it's absolutely fantastic.
I listen to them to get my news because I refuse to get my news from anywhere else. Take from that what you will. With that being said, let's get back to the Foo Fighters. I did watch it. As you know, I am not the biggest Dave Grohl fan. He did make some comments and some very interesting things in this that I actually appreciated. I don't think he's a bad person. And then, he joked about how the microphone is the hardest instrument of all of them to play and different things like that, which I actually don't agree with. As someone who is a singer, I don't agree with that. But I will say this was one of my favorites. And the thing about it is I like Foo Fighters music. I always have. I just don't like him personally.
Yeah, the other thing is they sort of brought their stadium rock sound to the Tiny Desk. Now,
They
one
did a
thing
great job.
Yeah, one thing when you play the Tiny Desk is there's no monitors. They do not
Yep.
provide monitors at all. The idea being is it's a stripped down performance and the singer should be heard by their own voice themselves. Now, the drummer in the band, whose name I cannot pronounce, he was just using rods and a tiny, tiny drum kit. And then you had the keyboard player. Dave Grohl played acoustic guitar. Pat Smear played electric guitar. And the other guitarist, whose name escapes me, he switched off between the two. Chris Shiflett.
Was there a
that's his
bass
name.
at all, Tim?
Yeah, Nate Mandel was playing bass.
I didn't even see
but
it.
the level of the volume must have been very much lower than what they normally perform because of the monitor situation. But they
Of
still
course.
sounded very powerful. It still
They
sounded
did.
great.
The thing that is those are all I hear when I hear them perform. Take for what I can tell you, I hate Dave Grohl till the cows come home. But I don't hate him like at a personal level. I hate him at a personal level. I don't hate his music. I do hate him at a personal level. That's a debate for another time. But you can tell those are people who have been playing in the music industry since the early '90s. That's what I gathered from that concert. Because what Tim's saying is, even when they small scale that they took back some of the accoutrements, right? Like
Yeah.
their big sounds. They still sound intense. They still have that Foo Fighters sound. And to me, that is the difference. And that's what you hear with someone who's just started, a week ago versus someone who's been doing it for years. And I think Tim could testify that it was a really good example of how that makes a difference.
Yeah, and also they played a couple of new songs from their new album,
Yeah.
which I'm actually going to talk about in the next episode. But
Whoa.
spoiler alert. But they also sort of played to the crowd. They played hits.
Yeah.
They played 3 or 4 of their hits. They really understood what it was all about to get me behind it. They closed with Everlong, and I love Everlong.
I was going to say, Tim, what's your favorite Foo Fighters song? I don't think we've ever said it.
Everlong.
Oh, what's my favorite Foo Fighters song? I think it's Walk.
I mean, that's a good track too.
Learn to Fly is a great one too. I don't know. It's hard because they are one of those bands that have had hundreds. You know what it is, Tim, though? It's got to be The Pretender. The more I think about it, it really is The Pretender.
I mean, you look in their list of hits, there's so many, but for me, it has to be Everlong. I mean, I like that track anyway, but
Yeah.
they performed it on David Letterman's final show. And the video of them performing on David Letterman's final show with all the clips through the years, it sealed that memory for me.
I think for me, Pretender is the one that stands out the most. And weirdly enough, that song particularly reminds me. I don't know if you guys remember. I talked about this in the podcast, and I cannot remember what the name of this band is. There was a band that performed at Virginia Tech a few years ago. Oh God, what was their name? And they had all these. Gosh, I can't think of what they're called now. Hold on. I gotta Google. I gotta give a Google live on air, Tim, because I can't think of the name of this band. It's driving me insane.
Was it Metallica? They played at Virginia Tech last year.
No, what? No, Tim, I wasn't there. It was years before that. They had that. Oh, oh God, I can't think of it.
I think it's the one you've spoken of before.
It is, and I love that concert. And weirdly, the Pretenders sounds very much like their music, is what I was getting at, Tim. And I think that's why it stands out to me. And why can't I think of them? BT. Oh gosh, it's
Joy
one of those.
is-
I'm going to scream it out. I'm going to scream it out in a minute, like Stevie Nicks here in a second, because I can't think of the name of that band.
It'll come to you.
It will. Moral story is that I think that's why that song stands out to me. It's because it reminds me of that band that I love. And they, to be honest with you, they all sound like they're in a car commercial. That's what they sound like.
There we go. It's not Breaking Benjamin, is it?
No. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Joy
here
is singing
we go. Feel it in my bones. Feel it. Hold on, I gotta Google that because I can't think of what they're called. Feel it.
The Google machine will fix it for you, Joy. Can she find it? She's looking it up right now. And if she doesn't find it right away, we'll move on to the next thing.
Keep going because it's not here. I have well, you know when you're trying to think of a song, Tim, and you can like feel the remnants of it, but it's not coming to you.
Absolutely.
That's what's happened to me. All right.
Okay.
So with that being said, at some point in time, I will scream this at you guys at the end of this episode. I do have a little. Is that the last of your little bit of music news, Tim?
That's all for me.
All right. I have two bits of music news, and then I have one of the most fantastic episodes that I think has ever been written. Might be biased because I wrote it. With that being said, I just wanted you to know, Shania Twain, she got a new album coming out, Tim.
Really? That's interesting. Shania making new music in 2026.
So it's called Little Miss Twain. It's coming this summer. She says a reflective of the teen and her roots. So I really hope it is Queen Shania at her best. So as we know, Shania is a five-time Grammy winner, as she should be. And she's going to host the ACMA Awards on May 17th. Me and Tim will not watch that because we don't watch that, but she'll be there. So our seventh project, Little Miss Twain, is coming out on July 24th on Republic Nashville. The album's lead title is called Dirty Rosie. Haven't heard. It was written by Shania and highlights a storyline about a lover who can drive her crazy and can't drive her beloved truck, which is very Shania coded.
Sure.
This is an exact quote. A lot of Little Miss Twain is reflective of my teen, my roots, as well as the energy of rock and R&B I love so much, but still with Western twang. She said in a statement, "Where I'm from, you don't go anywhere on a horse. You go on a snowmobile," which, by the way, guys, you know, Shania Twain is Canadian. I'm dreaming about Western lifestyle, and I was living a very different world than where I ended up. So there's her kind of thing. I'm excited to see it because I will always be Team Shania. And I may have an episode tying into this in the near future. As Tim gave you a spoiler, I gave you guys a spoiler. Now, my second bit of music news is Billy Idol is set to receive Lifetime Achievement Awards at the 2026 American Music Awards this year. So Shania is going to be hosting, and Billy Idol's going to be winning an award.
Fantastic. Well, you know, he's been around for a long time, getting it done.
Yes. And so Billy is being recognized for his incomparable career and body of work, unparalleled contributions to music, and continuing influence on generations, fans, and artists. For almost 50 years, Idol has been one of the most defining faces and voices of rock and roll. And I said this very clearly on this podcast. One of the funnest moments of my life is I did have a music teacher. I had an algebra teacher who would let us do music trivia every Friday, which is the highlight of my entire week as a student who loved doing this stuff. And I distinctly remember Billy Idol coming on and everybody in the room going quiet. And guess who yelled it out at the top of her lungs, Joy? Nobody in my entire high school knew what that song was. So what I say, I'm sure it was just White Wedding. It wasn't even that intense, but it's one of my claim to fame legacies. The other one that was my claim to fame was I had another teacher who we were in like where you could take college credits as a high schooler, Tim, in America. I don't know if there's an equivalent in the UK because there's kind of different rules there, but we had these classes and I was in a it was biography. No, it was biology, Joy. Biology class, and he said whoever gets this gets extra credit, and it was To Be With You, Mr. Big. That was the song. Guess who was the only one to name that song? Me.
It would be you.
And everybody stepped and looked at me and were like, how did you even know that? I was like, I was in this. Well, to be honest with you guys, I love music, but also I've been in this, and I'm fully convinced that some of your British friends were in that stupid Yahoo music trivia that I was in the early 2000s. I'm fully convinced we can find Ian Husbands was in there somewhere or something. But anyway, I was invested. Ironically, before I met Tim, I was highly invested in a very Yahoo music chat room where we all guest songs and we would play them and everybody would just. That's how I learned how to play music, through my sound card, Tim. That's how I learned back in the day. Go.
Sometimes you learn what you have to do.
I maybe unofficial. So with that being said, that's my little bit of music news. We got some Shania going on. Billy Idol's probably getting the respect he's deserved for years. And I am going to put Tim to a little bit of a test. Okay. But it's going to be a fun test and not a miserable test. But it's going to be a hilarious test. So I have joked on this podcast for years that Glee had some of the dumbest story plots you could possibly ever have. So what I had picked about 10 to 15 songs that have appeared in a Glee episode. They could be any, and I picked ones that Tim actually knew the song. I didn't try to go out of his wheelhouse, or I knew he would know. And I want Tim to think about the fact that we're talking about a high school Glee club. And in what context would these songs be ever used?
Okay, my imagination can run wild.
Whatever Tim says will probably be more logical than what was happening in the episode. I just want everybody to keep that in perspective. And the way I explain this to you is I've said this on the podcast. One time I had a dream that I was on a Glee episode. And in that Glee episode, we were trying to raise money for the Glee Club. This is my dream. And Sue Sylvester, who is like the woman who shuts everything down, you don't even get to the details. She hated the Glee Club, so on and so forth. Shut it down and tried to sue us because we did a version of, by the way, it was a goose versus a duck, but it's my dream. It was a dream, Tim. Don't put too much logic into it. We were performing a version of, oh no, it was the Disco Duck. It was Disco Duck, actually. We're performing a version of Disco Duck, and it was being sponsored by the Aflac Duck. And that's how we were paid to go to the next Glee event. Now, what you will find, Tim, is that's not even the weirdest thing that has happened in the show. Now, mind you, that was my dream of Glee. So keep that in perspective. I just want you to think about that when you're thinking about what these songs could, in fact, mean. Okay. And I've been wanting to do a very fun Glee episode, as Joy is, a Gleek, as they call us, which is Glee, a Glee geek, I guess. That's what it is. I've never really thought about what it means. But anyway, with that being said, Tim, now, I will say some of these songs you may think sound pervasive, and that is the reason why they were in the episode. No, Tim. No. Just keep that in perspective. So the first episode is called Showmance. It's season 1, episode 2, and the song is Push It by Salt and Pepper. Now, mind you, they performed this at a school assembly in front of everyone in that school. What do you possibly think would bring that into this context, Tim?
I think that the members of the Glee Club really want to push forward with their performance. There's been a few people on the fence that are not thinking this is going to be like the big thing, and they're thinking, no, we're gonna push through. We're gonna show everyone what this Glee Club is all about. So we're gonna push it.
Sort of. I mean, you're not 100% wrong. So Rachel Berry, who is like the main character, convinces the only way to recruit people is by performing a hypersexualized song at a school assembly to show they're not uncool because they're the Glee kids, right? And they have this perception. And, you know, in America, what sells, Tim? We don't have to say it out loud, but that's what they were going for. With that being said, it was horrific. They performed it in front of the entire school. And weirdly enough, their teacher, Will Schuster, who is controversially maybe one of the world's worst person in the world, was okay with it because he thought it would recruit people.
There you go. I mean, I wasn't super far off with that.
No. So then the fact about it is that the whole performance led to the school's wholesome music mandate, and the guy was literally like, if it's not about balloons, don't sing it, which forced the club to perform "La Freak" by Chic using the word Glee instead of the original words. Which, by the way, if you know anything about "La Freak," what was it about, Tim? How did that come to be?
It was about being thrown out of a nightclub.
It's literally the most unwholesome Christian, and you can take for whatever it was. Give it a Google, everybody. The words weren't "love freak," and
No.
that's all I gotta say. Studio 54 was not. Yeah, they got thrown out of Studio 54. Couldn't go in. Now Rogers and I don't know who else is in Chic.
Bernard Edwards, who's the bass player.
That's his name. Yes, I was like, it's some guy who sounds French. Is Bernard French? It sounds French to me.
Well, in England, you say Bernard.
I hate that. I think Bernard sounds cooler.
Bernard sounds much cooler than Bernard.
Wait a second. What other names are there out there that, like, I think of them sounding like that, and then, like, in England, they would say completely different, Tim? Can you think of anything else?
You had, like, the Secretary of Defense back a number of years ago was Colin Powell. That's Colin.
Yeah. I mean, Colin, I've heard. But Colin's spelled with an I versus an E, right?
No, Colin Powell is spelled Colin Powell.
All right, well, there you go. All right, so the next one, Tim. Are you familiar with the song Run, Joey, Run? It's one of the world's worst songs ever.
I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay, well, let me give you some lyrics because it is as bad as you think it is, Tim. Oh, God, it's so bad. It's a song from the 70s. I don't know if this band did anything else. The guy's name is David Gedes. I don't know. All right, so anyway. I'm going to read you some of these, and it's going to be awkward. There's no way it's not going to be awkward. This is a terrible song. Daddy, please don't. It wasn't his fault. I can't even say that. He means so much to me. Daddy, please don't. We're going to get married. Just you wait and see. Every night, the same old dream. I hate to close my eyes. I can't erase the memory. The soul of Julie's crying. It's so bad, Tim. She called me up late that night and said, Joe, don't come over. My dad and I had a fight. He stormed out the door. I've never seen him act this way. My God, he's going crazy. He's going to make you pay. For what we've done, he's got a gun. So run, Joey, run. Joey, run.
It sounds like someone that in the Glee episode would be someone called Joey who's got into trouble with the law. Maybe they're on the they've hung out with the wrong crowd and they've decided to leave the Glee club and to go down a different path, a path that's not necessarily a good path.
I wish that's what it were, but no. No. So the episode is called Bad Reputation.
Okay.
Season 1, episode 15. So after Glee Club List, which is like a ranking of students' promiscuous kind of situation, came out. It was like a list. They called it a list. Rachel realizes she has a clean reputation and is devastated. She decides to date Puck, which Puck is not the cool, Finn and Jesse St. James simultaneously to prove she's a heartbreaker, Tim. The ridiculous is to reveal her new Pat Girl persona. She produced a literal music video for the 70s scene track. I can't say this seriously. She plays the lead, and all three of the guys play her boyfriend she's cheating on. And they filmed it in a cemetery, Tim.
Really?
This is real. This is a real episode. The guys found out they were being played when the guys only found out they were being played when the video was screened for the entire Glee Club. I mean, it that sounds ridiculous. Tell me that doesn't sound ridiculous.
It's an incredibly convoluted plot.
Every episode is like this, by the way, Tim. That's why I felt it was necessary for you to understand that, like. Also, I had never heard this "Run Joey Roast" Run song. I don't know where it came from. Did this David guy do any other music? Let's see.
It's not a name I'm familiar with.
It says the stage name is a soft rock singer who had a top 5 hit with "Run Joey Run." So it's a one-hit wonder. In October of 1975. That's it. That's literally all he ever did. I don't know how Glee pulled that one out of the woodwork. All right. So the next one, Tim, is Gangnam Style by Psy, which I know you know what Gangnam Style is.
Yes,
now,
indeed.
mind you, this was on the Thanksgiving episode. How do you think Gangnam Style and Thanksgiving come together?
I don't know. I mean, one thing I do know is Gangnam is a area in South Korea which is incredibly upscale. I do know that.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
But I would imagine it's just an excuse to have an episode to get people to do synchronized dance moves.
That's probably every episode ever. So with that being said, the context is it's sectional. So like they're the competition, their first competition of the year. The New Directions, that's the name of the Glee Club, are trying to prove they can win without the original graduates like Rachel and Finn. They've moved off to New York, or Finn joined the military, whatever it was. They decide the best way to win a choir competition is to cover the K-pop viral meme. But the irony is it's a bunch of Ohio teenagers, and then they pick the one Asian person who is not even Korean to sing at the front and do the invisible dance, and it was cringe, Tim.
Yeah, it honestly sounds like it.
And then the performance is so physically demanding, the lead singer, Marley, faints from exhaustion from an eating disorder right before the big finish, and the school loses it.
There we are. It didn't work out how they hoped.
Yeah, and also, like, how cringe is that, Tim? A whole scenario, because Tia Cohen Chang, which is her name on there, was not, in real life and in the show, she's not Korean. So to make her be the lead, she'd never been the lead before. They never let her do anything, Tim. And she wasn't even the lead singer. She was just the lead choreographic person in the front physically. She wasn't even the one singing. And they made the Asian girl. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, this is where we're going to get weird. And I wonder if I feel like Tim remembers this song. And I know he's not going to be able to tell you what this means. But it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. This is a high school Glee Club, and they're singing the Thong Song by Cisco.
Well, again, not a song I was familiar with, but I'm assuming they're not going to have some kind of like probably uncool bikini dance thing going on.
No, it's worse than you think. So I can't believe, Tim, you've never heard the Thong Song? The thong. Okay, well, we don't need to get into that. But for those who cannot figure out what the song's about, it's exactly what you think the song is about.
Yeah, I imagine that's the case.
This is from the mashup episode, season 1, episode 8. Mr. Schuster, who is the Glee Club's teacher, choir director, whatever you want to call him, right? Director, I guess, is trying to win over Emma Pillsbury. Cool fact about Emma Pillsbury, Tim. She graduated from Radford University, which is right beside us, in their theater program. And then she became a famous actress.
There you go. Would you look at that? Local talent.
Anyway, she was the guidance counselor on the show. So we've got a teacher trying to woo the guidance counselor. Now, mind you, the teacher's married. And she's currently engaged to the football coach. And you want to add a weirder story plot, Tim? Mr. Schuster's wife knew that she was trying to leave him, so she faked a pregnancy.
Oh, goodness
Yeah,
me.
it gets weirder. He hears she likes fun music and decides this is the song. He performs the song with full choreograph in the choir room. There's some deeply unsettling about high schools. He's also a Spanish teacher as well, singing the thong song while standing 3 feet away from his teenage students. The episode where, he's just a creep, Tim.
Yeah, I for this kind of TV show, it does seem weird.
No, Tim, if someone does like an official analysis of Glee 10 years from now from a psychological standpoint, it's all weird. It's so weird. And I don't know why I think it's just because I love the music and I was a Glee, I was someone who was in a Glee club or a choir or whatever you want to call it. And so it stood out to me and I really liked using pop culture. But yeah, it did not age well. As
No.
anything in society, it did not age well. Now, this one is not near as weird. This is a song I know Tim definitely knows. It's I'm Still Standing by Elton John. The episode is called Big Brother.
Okay, so this is where I think we're going with this, especially with the episode name. So there is somebody in the Glee Club who's being bullied somewhere along the line, either by a parent, by someone who's their same age, or otherwise. And they have like a mentor in the Glee Club that tells them to either report it or tells them to stand up for themselves, or the person in the Glee Club stands up for them. And this is like the big triumphant comeback after they come through the other side. They've finally got through this situation and they say, I'm still standing.
I wish that's what it was. I truly do, Tim. Clifford Bray had been in a car accident caused by texting and driving. It is now in a wheelchair.
Oh, goodness me.
So then Artie, who's already in a wheelchair, is her mentor. You were right, Tim. There's a mentor situation. And is trying to get her to stay positive. In solidarity, the two of them perform I'm Still Standing.
Oh, goodness me.
Tim, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's who came up with and who approved this plot point?
I don't know. I don't know. But the more I think about it, and like, it's one of those situations where, I mean, Ryan Murphy is he's the writer. I don't know, Tim. But like, to sing I'm Still Standing from two people who are in a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's why whatever Tim says, the actual plot point is like 40% worse.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's so bad. And I love this show. But looking back, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, why did I love this show? I think it was just because I like the music. I don't know. All right. Well, here's another one, Tim. And I know you know this song, and I know you're going to instantly find this weird. It's not as weird as you think it is. I'll tell you that. It's Blurred Lives by Robin Thicke. And the episode is called The End of Twerk.
Well, the original video of Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke is a not safe for work piece containing a couple of models not wearing a great deal. So you're already on sort of thin ice with this song anyway, because most people would know that before you bring it into the world of Glee. I honestly have no idea how you could bring this into an episode and make something that's PG-13 or whatever.
Well, it's worse than you think. The context is it's inspired by the Miley Cyrus VMA performance where her and Robin Thicke were together. Mr. Shu decides the Glee Club is too old-fashioned. Mind you,
yes.
he's the teacher.
It's so old-fashioned. Let's recreate the music video. There you go. That'll bring us right into the now.
And he needs to learn how to twerk to impress the judges in their next Glee Club competition. So the ridiculous is Mr. Shu leads a twerking seminar. The teacher. I'm serious. This happened to him. Matthew Morrison, who is Mr. Schuster, twerking alongside of his students to blur lines.
Joy, I've never really seen this TV show outside of clips you've sent me. And this stuff is blowing my mind. It really is.
I knew that's why I was so excited to touch it because everything you think, like there's so many good episodes. For every good episode, there's the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your entire life. It's stuff like that. Oh my God. And Sue Sylvester, which is supposed to be the evil woman out to get everybody, is like, we need to ban twerking at school. She's the most logical person as a teacher. It's kind of like a joke about whenever, on Dirty Dancing, and you've got a 17-year-old sleeping with however old he was, and like running away from her parents and someone in this, all the scenarios. And he's like, the dad was the most reasonable person saying, stay away from my daughter.
Yeah, they say, don't put baby in the corner. Don't put baby with that man. Take that baby away from that man completely.
Like, there's a reason we're calling her baby. She's 17 years old.
Exactly.
She was a child. All right. So anyway, the more I say it, the more, and that's why I knew this episode would crack me up, Tim, because it's ridiculous to me as someone who watched it. But then when you put it out there to the world, it's even stupider than I remember. Okay, I need to breathe because Tim's face on that one, I think that was the one that got him when I said there was a twerking seminar.
What?
Well, number 7. This is You Are Having My Baby by Paul Acna. Acna? How do you say his name? Acna? How do you say his name, Tim?
Anchor.
Why can't I say that? You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yes.
All right. So the episode is called Ballad. I don't even want you to guess because you have no background to what this episode is. So the main guy who's like the quarterback of the football teams or whatever, Tim, gets a cheerleader pregnant. We don't need to explain how that happened.
I was about to say that because that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. So he's convinced he's the father of Quinn's baby. That's the cheerleader. And he wants to be a man and tells her parents the truth during a formal dinner at their house. Instead of just saying it, though, he stands up at 6. You are having my baby.
What?
To the parents.
What is this TV show?
And instead of kicking, and of course, Quinn's father kicks him out of the house. Then actually dedicated this song to the ultrasound he saw, which he didn't even realize was a picture of a. Okay, so the funny part is, this is where it's really bad, Tim. Finn is not actually the father.
What?
Okay, so there's a plot piece in Glee where Quinn gets pregnant by Puck. Puck is the bad boy, right? The bad boy. Finn never actually did anything with Quinn besides sit in a hot tub with her. And he was so stupid that he believed he could get her pregnant. And she convinces him. I can't. I'm laughing so hard right now. Yeah. So that's how that happened.
This is like a plot point in those Adrian Mole books I was listening to.
It's like a soap opera. I have a soap opera in Glee form. That's what this is. And there's a whole thing where he totally accepts it's his baby and all this. It's not. She literally used this poor kid who was naive and dumb because he would have been a better option to be the father than the guy who was actually the father, Tim. And then if she said, this guy is actually the father, she had to admit to Finn he was being cheated on the entire time with the bad boy. Yeah. There you go. It's so stupid. All right. Tim, this is going to be one that's going to make you laugh. This song is Friday by Rebecca Black. I know you know what Friday by Rebecca Black is because we've talked about some of this podcast. Remember the girl who
It,
wrote that Friday? That was like a YouTube sensation for 5 minutes.
oh, the one I'd never heard of before you played it for me. Yes, I remember that one.
So they put it in their prom queen episode, which is season 2, episode 20. What do you think a prom queen episode about Friday would be, Tim?
I think it's about somebody had no one to go to the prom with, and it's getting towards the end of the week, and it's building up to this, and then finally at the last minute, they have a date for the prom, and Friday rolls around, the prom's that day, and everyone's happily ever after.
To be fair, this one is much more monocular or like it's fair. This one's very innocent. Basically, it was in the height of when Rebecca Black did her song, and she really got made fun of on the internet. So someone picked up with it. Glee Club was hired to be the band at their prom, and they needed a party starter, so they put that song out there. They decided to cover the song with zero irony and really lean to it. And weirdly enough, it did so well on the charts that it was like one of their number one selling songs. So, and then Rebecca Black got all the money. So weirdly, this is one of the good ones they did, because if you don't know the story of Rebecca Black, I've talked about Katy Perry put her in her last Friday night video. Glee did this because what happened was you had a very young 13, 14-year-old who wanted to be a musician and was taken advantage of by some people who took advantage of them and put this horrible song out there for the internet, and then she became the meme of everything. But she was a child, Tim. She was a child who was just put in a bad situation. And the thing about it is of course a 13-year-old sings a song like Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. That's literally the song, because they're a child. But if you were someone who's in music, that's really good for a 13-year-old to put that rhythm out there, right, Tim?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Someone who 10 plus years will be able to write Last Friday Night by Katy Perry, because that's where you start. Do you think that every person who's ever wrote a song wants you to hear the songs they wrote when they were 12?
Unless you're the Beatles.
Fine, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, you find that when Paul McCartney said, "Yeah, well, me and John were like working on Love Me Do when we were 14 and this stuff."
Yeah, that's an exception to the rules, Tim. But generally, you know what I mean? Like most pop artists, and that's, people have to progress and they learn. But the fact that she actually was able to write a song, have music to it, and have a rhythm that sticks with people, that Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. It sounds ridiculous. The lyrics are stupid. But that alone says that she did have a little bit of music paralysis. So I really appreciated people like Katy Perry and Glee picking up with it and running with it, because those are the people you need to support. Because I don't want people seeing what I did when I was 12. I literally remember dressing up as this. I had an S Club 7 event. It was a full event. Me and my twin sister and 2 other people that I went to elementary school with. I don't know what the equivalent to elementary primary school, Tim. Is that what you guys called it in England?
Yeah, well, yeah. Primary school is the school you go to between the age of 5 and 12, 13.
So that's the equivalent. So elementary school, primary school, whatever you want to call it. We had a talent show, as one does. And it was a 4-H talent show. And if you don't know anything about 4-H in America, it's like we're all kind of like stuck in knowing it. I don't even know where it comes from. But it's like, it's a youth development program, and it's called 4-H because it stands for hands, hearts. I don't remember what all the H's are, Tim. I don't know, some club they stick you in when you're a kid in America. Moral story. Okay. So, and they would do things like, we had talent shows. I don't know why 4-H had talent shows. But guess what I did? I had an S Club 7 talent show event, Tim. And we did that stupid, oh my God, looking back now, I'm glad cameras weren't around at that time, because it was the S Club 7. Hold on. I got to remember what that song was. 5, 6, oh no, it was Steps. 5, 6, 7, 8. My boots scooting, baby. It was Steps. It's even worse than S Club 7. Which Tim, I think from the UK, you had S Club 7, you had Spice Girls, you had S Club 7, then you had Steps.
Yeah, steps were way down the ladder.
But then you
had the ones like Bewitched. Do you remember them?
that have one song that I say La Viva and nobody knows anything else. And the stupid part of that one that kills me is some people say I look like my dad and they both laugh at the beginning. Like that's funny. And I'm like, yeah, people look like their dad. I've never figured out that intro. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tim? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah.
like some people say I look like me dad and then they both laugh and I'm like, what does that have to do with the song and why is that the intro? Who picked this? Like I've never figured. But yeah, there was my boots scooting, baby, it's driving me crazy. There's a step song, and we did the whole dance in front of my entire 4-H club. We won, by the way. Just saying,
Look at
we
you.
won. But looking back, I'm glad I was not put on YouTube the same way Rebecca Black was with the song she wrote at like 12. Cause like. You know what I'm saying, though, Tim? Like that's when you're still learning. Like I was learning music; it was fun. But yeah, I have a PTSD about learning that dance because one of the people in our group, Jesse, if you're listening, she was a slave driver. We had to get it down to a T, Tim. There was hours and hours of us going, my boots scooting, baby. It's driving me crazy. It's such a forward. And that song's fast. There's a whole dance to it. Anyway, Brady will testify. If you go back and listen to my episode with my twin sister, I think we talked about that. I do appreciate that Tim knows these ridiculous bands that came out of England for like 5 minutes, though, Tim.
Well, of course,
Not everybody knows Steps.
I lived through that.
Well, the thing about it is, though, and what's funny about Steps and S Club 7 is most people in America know them from their TV show. They don't know them as musicians. They had that TV show that would come on when I came home from school. It would be on ABC Family, which was like a Disney affiliate TV show or channel. And it would be on, I don't know, whatever time. And it would be like right when I got home from school, it was at 3:15 p.m. Eastern American time. And like close to 4, because I wouldn't get off the bus till like 3:45 because I had to drive from school, home. And it would be like at 4:15, Tim, I had to go to S Club 7 and watch S Club 7, which is the stupidest show ever. And then I had to watch Steps on ABC Family. Like I was a dedicated fan.
Well,
Ain't no party like an S Club party.
and didn't you say that was mostly shot in the UK?
Absolutely. All of it was. And none of it even made sense. Like, you think the story plots in Glee are dumb. That was just like Tim would say, 10 hot people walking around the beach. I don't know what beach they were on. It was England. I don't know. Some beach.
It didn't look, on the clips that you showed me, it didn't look like any beach in the UK that I'd ever been to.
Maybe it was. I don't know. Let's see. It was Simon Fuller, right? He was the guy behind it. Where was it recorded? I assumed it was in the UK, but maybe I just assumed that. Hold on. Where was?
I think it was shot in the UK and the US or something. I can't remember. The place it was shot was not the place that it was reported to be.
Oh, it says it was primarily shot in London, England, despite being set in Florida. Where in London, England looked like Florida, Tim? Okay. The exterior shots were filmed in Lauderdale by the Sea, Florida, at what was the Villas by the Sea. After 13 episodes, their interior hotel room scenes were filmed in London. So I guess inside the house they were in London, but the outside shots they were in Florida.
There you go.
All right, Simon Fuller. There you go. Anyway, all right, back to the episode because Tim is already feeling PTSD from this episode. You know the song Big Spender. I'm sure you've heard the song Big Spender.
Of course.
Hey, Big Spender. Yeah, okay. So this episode was called The Purple Piano Project. Tim, where do you think Big Spender would play into Glee?
So I think it's leading up to a big bombastic performance where they're all going to go, "Hey, Big Spender," and it's just an excuse to do that. I don't think there's anything more than that.
No, you're wrong. So apparently, the Glee is looking for new talent. You're not wrong on that after winning nationals. Sugar Mata is a rich girl who has a self-diagnosed condition she calls Super Glee, which she says allows her to be blunt, and she auditions. She sings incredibly off-key and aggressive to Hey Big Spender. The problem is that she is the one. So they had did this purple piano project where throughout the school there were purple pianos. And
Okay.
anytime a Glee member would come upon a purple piano, they would have to perform. Which I find funny because not everybody in Glee could perform the piano, and there might not always be someone near the. We're not going to get into the logistics of it. Someone who's a choir, just because you're a choir doesn't mean you play the piano, right, Tim? But
Yeah.
that's fine.
I'm always astounded. No, this is a slight offshoot to this. I'm
Yes.
always astounded when musicians who play one instrument are also able to play the piano. For example, Zach Wilde played a song at his concert with Black Label Society on a keyboard. And I think to myself, how do you know how to do that? I've played guitar my entire life. I have no idea how to play piano.
I actually find it the opposite because, and I think a lot of people who get into singing are in piano lessons as a kid because piano is a universal instrument. I think a
Yeah.
lot of kids like me, I don't know if this is an American thing or not, but I took my first, so we actually got pulled out of classes. My parents paid like, I don't know, $200 a year, and they physically pulled me out of my first grade class and would spend like 30 minutes a day teaching me the piano.
Yeah, that didn't happen
I did
for
that
us.
long before anything else. And then when I started about so I had my choir that I was in, and the person who was the lady who was our main piano player who would help with the choir director. And the choir director could play piano, but it's hard to direct and play piano at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And the really good piano person, she on the side would offer vocal lessons and piano. So for my freshman, which means I was about 14 years old for people who are in England, and my sophomore year, I went to her house. My mom paid probably $90 a month, and we would do piano. And she taught me all the little piano tricks, and then she would also teach me voice. I
Yeah.
don't know.
At school, if you wanted to play an instrument, you picked the instrument you wanted to play, and that was the end of that. I don't remember any piano training. I mean, growing up, I had like a keyboard, like Casio keyboards and things that I could never
Yeah.
ever play because I didn't know how to do it.
So what's interesting about that is I always thought that those piano classes were separate than people who were playing in the band. Like if you want to be a band member and let's say you want to pick up the trumpet, they just focused on that. It was like I actively had to seek it out. But a lot of people I know who moved into music or were into music theater or singers later on in life, they started like I did and playing the piano. Now, I will say in full transparency, Joy can play a few chords on the piano. If you put a like jingle bells in front of her, she can pull it off. But I'm not saying I'm a good piano player. I'm just saying that I had that training and it helped me later on in life. Like, when I'm doing red leather, red leather, red leather, yellow, aluminum, linoleum, aluminum, linoleum, and all those runs that I was taught. By the way, I was talking to Charlie the other day. I was listening to some lady who does like these vocal coach kind of runs.
Hmm.
That's the kind of Tim listens to people with guitar riffs and Joy listens to vocal coaches. We're nerds in our own rights, but I always found it funny because I one of my favorite ones when I was in high school was we would do the red leather, yellow leather, aluminum, linoleum, aluminum, linoleum, aluminum, and then you go to the hierarchy, red leather, and that was my favorite. And I find it funny when I'm watching these vocal courses, what words they choose to use. You know what I mean, Tim? Because they always use like weird words. And so I always find it fun when you're listening to vocal courses and what they choose to make you do. There was one the other day that she was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2. You know what I mean? And so I always find it funny. And see, whenever I was in high school, we would always do, everybody always thinks do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Like that's the classic, right? But we always did a version of it that I never hear anybody else do it. I have no idea why my vocal coach would do it. It would be like re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And we always did that version. I've never heard another vocal coach do it. I can't tell you why my choir teacher made us do it that way, Tim.
Yeah, just a
I don't know if
personal
there's even
thing.
science in it. It's fun. And then, of course, you go another octave up and then you just keep going or you go down. But moral story is I always enjoy watching them do that. All right. Well, we got distracted, Tim. I don't know how much time we have left. How much time do we even have left?
We have time for one more song.
Oh, I need to pick a good one. There's too many. I have to do this one because it's Tim. Hot for Teacher, Van Halen. The episode was called Mash Off.
Well, it's one of two things. It's either somebody likes the teacher in an inappropriate way, which is what the song is about, or it's some kind of exercise where somebody plays electric guitar and they just want to show off with their licks, etc., etc.
Sort of, kind of, but it's weirder than you think. Okay, so you know, I was telling you earlier, Quinn had the baby with Puck, but she convinced Finn it was her baby. Well, eventually it comes out it's Puck's baby.
Okay.
Right? Now, Rachel Berry was adopted by two males that were in a relationship, but her real mother sounds so crazy. Her real mother, Tim, is a competition rival coach, Glee Club person
Okay.
who like is a director. She is the one who ends up adopting. She ends up adopting the baby. Puck and Quinn's baby. Rachel Berry's mother, who is not in Rachel's life, who gave her up to both of Rachel's dads. She's adopted. So she adopts the baby. And she's the rival Glee coach. And he wants to, for some weird reason, he falls in love with her, and he wants to prove that he is a mature Puck does. He's mature enough to be a man and the dad, and not just a student. So he decides to perform Hot for Teacher in the choir room, wearing a 1980s wig and spandex, while aggressively flirting with a teacher who is old enough to be his mother. And it's literally one of the other people's mothers.
Oh, goodness me. I mean, I wasn't far off.
No. Some of the other songs that we didn't talk about were It's a Man's World, Safety Dance. And with that being said, Glee Might at a Home is another one that came up. Let's see. Let's Have a Kiki, Turkey Lurkey Time. That was another one. Mm-hmm. Oh, we never explained the Purple Piano Project. I didn't get to that. We got distracted. So Sugar Mama itself, to her parents pay for the purple pianos. They put them all over the school. Everybody has to perform on them. And because her parents paid for the purple pianos and put a bunch of money in Glee, they feel legally obligated to let her join the group, but she can't sing. That's the whole thing. She does eventually join, and they put her in the back, and she sways. But there's a whole back and forth about should we let her in. And when I say she can't sing, I mean she can't. Like, it's real bad, Tim. It's like, think of the most off-key person you could think of, and that's how you get Sugar Mama. And that's where the Purple Piano Project comes. My favorite part of that episode, though, is there's a scene where there's a purple piano and they're out in the courtyard, and they have to perform a whole song. And at one point, one of the people who's trying to sabotage them actually flicks a cigarette into the piano, and it goes up in flames in the middle of the episode.
Crikey.
There you go. With that being said, Tim, what did you learn about Glee today?
I learned that it was more convoluted and it had more wacky plot points than I could have ever imagined.
That's what I was hoping for. I hope that those of you who are not Glee fans are completely as mesmerized as Tim was. And if you are Glee fans, I hope you enjoyed this episode. With that being said, how would you like to leave the people?
Just be kind to everyone that you meet.
I agree. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.